Hello, everyone. My name is Robert Callan. I am the Chief Environmental Dowser with Dowsing Design. Our dowsing company is headquartered in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Today, I'll be discussing 4G and 5G energy and how to block it from your main living areas. Last year, I discovered how to cure 4G and 5G energy that had been plaguing me for almost a year. We're all familiar with electromagnetic wave energy transmitted from the air from cell towers. But 4G and 5G energy seems to operate differently and is much more powerful and disruptive. It is high intensity electromagnetic energy, and this stuff is on steroids. 4G and 5G energy affects everyone differently. It has been linked to COVID-19 and the significant magnetic disruptions that people experience in their bodies, including COVID-19 patients' unproductive detoxing through their lungs and other abnormal body responses. Let's take a minute to quickly review the G's so we can better understand what we're talking about. They stand for generation of network. Some of you may remember in the 1980s when mobile phones first started. They had those brick size mobile phones with an antenna, and all they could do was send and receive analog voice calls. That was 1G. Then in the 1990s, they developed cell phones, adding digital voice calls, text messaging, and basic data services. That was 2G. In the 2000s, they introduced smartphones with mobile broadband, and that was 3G. After 2010, they added fast mobile broadband using internet protocol. That's 4G. Now, in the 2020s, they're adding enhanced mobile broadband and wireless for industry. For example, navigating driverless cars. That's 5G. Here in Minnesota, 4 and 5G magnetic energy is carried along most, but not all, of the Hartman lines that run north-south, and this 4 and 5G energy is cured on the south side at the center of the affected Hartman lines. Let me just show you what I'm talking about here. In 1951, the physician Dr. Ernest Hartman discovered an electromagnetic radiation grid surrounding the Earth. He called the grid Global Net Grid. Today, it's called the Hartman Grid. And it consists of standing waves which are oriented on the Earth's magnetic field, running north to south and from east to west. There are parallel lines about 8 to 12 inches wide with an auric field that extends up to 1 yard on either side. Hartman lines are approximately 2 to 2.5 meters apart with a neutral zone between. So this is a rendering to help you understand the north-south flow of the Hartman lines and the east-west. and then of course they have crossing points as well. Hartmann lines are negatively affected by electricity, and 3G, 4G, and 5G base stations require increasing electrical energy. The greater the power of the electrical item, the more negative the results. The typical 5G site has power needs of over 11.5 kilowatts. That's up to nearly 70% from a base station deploying a mix of 3G and 4G. 5G macro base stations may require several new power-hungry components, including microwave or millimeter wave transceivers, field programmable gate arrays, FPGAs, faster data converters, high power, low noise amplifiers, and integrated MIMO antennas. Those are highly very small, high intensity antennas, and a great number of them in a small area. You'll be comforted to know that they have tested the microwave transceivers' effect on humans, and they didn't raise the body temperature of a person in close proximity by more than 1 degree. These Hartmann lines have become negatively supercharged by higher concentrations of 3G, 4G, and now 5G stations. Hartmann lines seem to be the main carriers of this high intensity negative 3G, 4G, and 5G energy through our homes and office buildings. Prior to 4 and 5G energy, electromagnetic wave energy transmitted from cell towers, and then the Hartmann lines affected negatively by electrical energy were independent of each other and did not interact. So to review, a negative Hartmann line is found where the Hartmann line and the electricity connect. Another way of saying it is the electrical power needs to be right on the Hartmann line to change it to negative. A power source can be as small as an outlet or as large as a transformer. The greater the power of the electrical item, the more negative the results. A clock radio will affect it less than a TV, and a TV less than a fuse box. If the power box or transformer is on a cross point of north-south or east-west Hartmann lines, all negative lines within roughly 2 miles become negative. So just to review, if there's an electrical point on intersecting with any of these lines, those Hartmann lines become negative Hartmann lines and carry negative energy. If a north-south Hartmann line crosses a high-intensity 4G or 5G base station, it changes the polarity of the Hartmann line, and instead of flowing north to south, it reverses the direction and flows from south to north and carries with it the high-intensity disruptive electromagnetic energy generated by the station. I believe the polarity reversal in the Hartmann lines affected by 4G and 5G base stations accounts for the magnetic disruptions people have experienced in their body functions and abnormal immune responses that have contributed to deaths during COVID-19, the COVID-19 pandemic. A negative Hartmann line, supercharged with 3G, 4G, and now 5G energy, now carries with it the disruptive electromagnetic energy generated by these 3, 4, and 5G macro stations. It can be compared to microwave energy or a cold fire. Working and sleeping in or near these negative fields can deplete our immune system and negatively affect our energy and health. Our memory may also be affected, even to the point of dementia. If living or sleeping on an affected Hartmann line, major illnesses can be created, such as MS, cancer, chronic fatigue, and more. Children are especially sensitive to negative Hartmann lines. In children, the Hartmann lines may create greater risk of autism. Depending upon the intensity of the 3 to 5G energy impacting the Hartmann line, its effects on the health of the individual are magnified, and people's symptoms can be all over the lot. Can you imagine if the location of the hospital rooms and beds treating COVID-19 patients are located on these Hartmann lines negatively affected by the 4 and 5G energy? Or even worse, on a crossing point of negative north-south, east-west negative Hartmann line crossings. Early last year, I developed the appearance of shingles, a nerve disruption and irritation. It was mysteriously resistant to the normal medical treatment and had lingered on and off for almost a year. Then I experienced the onset of a strange skin rash and itching that developed on my ankles and calves and then spread over my body. My wife experienced joint pain and developed strange sores on her skin. Suffice it to say, you definitely want this 3G, 4G, and 5G energy cured and eliminated from your homes and office work areas. So, how do we do it? Fortunately, we have developed a method that will block out 4G and 5G high-intensity electromagnetic energy from your home and business. It involves the specific placement of copper dowsing rods that are supercharged with sound, light, and energy frequencies designed to block this high-intensity, disruptive 4G and 5G energy. First, we have to identify the north-south Hartmann lines that are affected in the area you're concerned with. And normally, that's your home and office building. From my experience, and of course, depending upon your location, most of the Hartmann lines are affected, but not all. So the way I identify these is to go through the area, which is your home or office. And as I go through the area, I identify the Hartmann line. Then I determine if the Hartmann line is a negative Hartmann line affected by 3 and 5G energy or not. A yes or no. Then, by placing an electromagnetic interference dowsing rod in the center of the Hartmann line, it will stop the 3 and 5G electromagnetic energy at that point, and the Hartmann line from that point on reverts to its normal north and south directional flow. The cure is placed at the southernmost point. So the cure is placed at the southernmost point of the Hartmann line as it enters the property. And of course, directionally, these Hartmann lines that are affected by 3 and 5G energy have reversed and are going south to north, which is why they're cured at the southern point. So these 3 Hartmann lines would be negatively affected by 3G energy. This one is not. So, for example, right in the middle of that Hartmann line that is affected by 3G energy, the dowsing cure is placed. And then from that point further into the property, that electromagnetic energy is blocked. And in fact, this Hartmann line returns to its normal north-south directional, natural directional flow. However, south of this dowsing rod, the electromagnetic energy continues in its south to north. So it's just blocked at that point. However, that is how to cure, or how I cure this negative Hartmann 3 and 5G energy. Although 3G, 4G, and 5G electromagnetic energy doesn't seem to travel on east to west Hartmann lines, the negative effects of an affected north-south Hartmann line is further intensified when an east-west negative Hartmann line crosses. So for example, the east-west Hartmann line affected by electricity negatively at these crossing points, it amplifies the effect of the 3 and 5G energy. This is particularly impactful for your health when your bed or office chair are located on or near where one of these affected Hartmann lines cross, or where you spend a significant amount of time in that high intensity negative energy. Normal electromagnetic wave energy from cell towers has little or no impact on you when it's outside in the open air. In order for it to gain entrance to a home or office building, it has to find a crack, opening, or some type of way of getting in. Not so with high intensity 4 and 5G electromagnetic interference energy. It bowls right through the solid walls, carried along the Hartmann line, and it seems to be just as disruptive to people outside in the open air as inside in your home or office. Therefore, it's wise to neutralize this energy on the south side of your yards and wherever you spend regular time. Another consideration when curing this energy in a home or business is to take account of affected 4 and 5G Hartmann lines in close proximity to the building. There's a home I cured of this 5G energy in the winter when I normally don't work outside. The home was built with the front door and front of the home facing almost true north. And when I checked all the Hartmann lines, it was clear with the normal 2 to 2.5 meter spacing between Hartmann lines that one ran just outside the east wall, which ran along the master bedroom. With the ore field extending a yard outside of the 8 to 12-inch Hartmann line, it was adversely impacting the master bedroom sleeping area inside the home. So I took all these Hartmann lines. There were 3 negative Hartmann lines affected by 3G energy, and cured each of those on the south side, and then noticed that the home, of course, is this purple square here. Notice that there should have been a Hartmann line almost right at the end of the home. It wasn't inside the home, but it was just running along the east side of the home. And this one was affected by, again, 3G, 3, 4, and 5G energy. So it had reversed the line and was affecting the master bedroom, which was right in this area of the home. So what I did in order to cure that is I determined that I would try and put together a shield of these electromagnetic dowsing cures along the master bed side. But because this energy is so disruptive and powerful, I had to place virtually 5 cures almost end to end from this wall to the end of the master king size bed in order to just shield this energy, and it didn't even carry through the rest of the bedroom. So in this case, I put on my boots and went outside and cured it at the side of the property with 1 dowsing cure in the center of the Hartmann line, outside, right in the middle of that Hartmann line. Depending on the placement of the building structure on the north-south axis, oftentimes these Hartmann lines can enter the property at an extreme angle. I encountered this at an office where I was called to address this 3 and 5G energy. One affected Hartmann line intersected the CEO's individual office at an extreme angle and then carried on through the rest of the business office. So here's the office, the purple outline, and the CEO's office was right here where the negative Hartmann line entered the office complex at an extreme angle and then carried through the additional offices. I cured that energy by placing the dowsing cure along the outside wall where it entered his office at the center of the line. So, for example, although this is coming in at an extreme angle, I still place the dowsing rod at that at the wall angle, right in the center of the Hartman line. So even though it's coming in at an angle, I just put it in the center of the Hartman line, which is 8 to 12 inches wide. And that cures, at that point, that point on, that 5G energy. However, I had to take into account that the aura of the line outside the wall to the south of the cure was still active and established a shield of several feet, a shield for several feet south from the cure to effectively shield the CEO's office for the necessary distance until the Hartman line's aura was safely outside the building structure. So in this case, from the cure south, because the aura of the negative Hartman line affected by this 5G energy was not cured from the south on, and the aura is about a foot on either side of the line, I had to account for, I placed 3 additional dowsing cures to this point through his office until I had until that the aura of that negative 5G energy was outside of his office. Then I cured this 5G Hartman line. This one was not affected. And this one, which was affected, just went through a sliver of a hallway area, which didn't affect anyone. So I didn't even bother dealing with that one. However, you also have to take into account the east-west lines. And even though they're not carrying 5G energy, what they may, if they are affected by negatively affected by electricity, which this one was, that means that each crossing point of these 5G energies, even if they're cured, you want to block that or cure, strip that Hartman line going east to west of this negative aspect caused by electricity. So I placed a cure to cure that energy right in the center of this east-west Hartman line. So it took basically 3 plus the shield, 3 more dowsing cures to completely shield this office of all negative 5G energy and negative Hartman line energy. These negatively affected 4 and 5G lines are present throughout the environment, in some places in higher concentration than others. On a recent trip I took to Jamaica, there were only 1 out of 4 Hartman lines negatively impacted by 4 and 5G electromagnetic energy. Apparently, Jamaica hasn't caught up with the United States, which is maybe a good thing. So it varies depending upon your location and the concentration of 4 and 5G macro base stations in your area. There is still a lot more to learn about 4 and 5G electromagnetic energy and its effects. At this time, I believe the most effective approach is to block it from your home and office spaces and where you spend extended periods of time. I hope this presentation has given you some insights to help you understand and deal more effectively with this high intensity electromagnetic energy and its effects. Since I pre-recorded this presentation, I'm not able to take any questions at this time. If you have any questions, or if you would like me to assist you in blocking this high intensity 4G and 5G energy from your homes or offices, feel free to send me an email with a brief description of how I can help you. Please include your name and phone number so I can call you. I am able to distance dowse and can remotely identify the affected Hartmann lines and then send you the electromagnetic dowsing cures and assist you in placing them accurately to block this 5G energy. My email address is robert@dowsingdesign.com. That's robert@dowsingdesign.com. Thank you, and I'll leave you with our dowsing design motto: raise your vibe.